Gardening isn't always all roses. It's not all sunflowers and daisies and pretties. So I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly that's been going on in the garden. Summer was rough. Spring was beautiful, beautiful blooms, beautiful bulbs, and was really happy. The wildflowers around the spiral were really pretty, and it was just gorgeous. And then summer hit and the drought hit. And I have to say that it was a really hard year as far as the drought this year. I don't remember it in all my years of gardening being like this. So dry, and with a combination of, I think, bad compost and the dry heat, I lost all my tomatoes, except, and here's the good, I did have a volunteer cherry tomato that's doing great still and still producing, and so yay. So there's always good. You just have to look for it sometimes. Yeah, it's been a tough garden season for summer and even the early fall, and we actually now have a 50% chance of rain tomorrow, so I'm hoping for that. Gosh, my plants are hoping for that. But beyond that, last week I had a really tough time. I came home from work, and the tree trimmers that had come had taken off several of the lower branches of the shade trees that I have out front and on the side garden. And I've worked on those gardens for years with the succulents there, and I had a lot of casualties. And I have to tell you that was like a big loss to me, and you have big losses. At least you feel it because you nurture and you take care of these plants for so long. So you do feel like you're, have some kind of commitment there and some kind of, I don't know, attachment. It's silly maybe, but you do. I do anyway. So I was a little heartbroken, angry at first, then heartbroken. I came home from work and all of my aeoniums had been just smashed to pieces, and my jade, and you can see in some of the propagation videos that I did under the pine tree what it looked like before. But I was just not in a good way at that point. So, but you pick up the pieces, and so that's what I did today. Well, I've been working on it all week, cleaning up, and I had gotten the wheelbarrow full of the aeoniums that had severed limbs. But the good thing with succulents is a lot of times you can stick those right in the ground, like the aeoniums, and they will root and grow. So I decided to put those in the wheelbarrow and take them over to the side of the hill where it gets a little bit more shade. It's not complete shade, but hopefully it'll be sheltered enough from the sun and from the direct sunlight, and get a little bit of shade, more shade around the curve of the hill there, so that the succulents can take off, and hopefully the gophers don't get to it. That's another thing, is where I've had success with the Gopher Scram around the spiral. I haven't used it anywhere else in the garden, but I did have my Tacoma stands, the yellow bell-shaped flower that I got to enjoy for so long this year. I was so blessed because the deer usually eat it every year, and so it's still in bloom. But the other day I noticed it was just not looking good, especially at the base. It was dropping leaves, and it's probably time for it to do that anyway. But I did a little more snooping, and down around the base, sure enough, the gophers have been active over there. But the good side, and there is always a good side, is that just before I figured that out, I had talked to the big man upstairs. No, not God, but I talked to him a lot too. Professor, the owner, who runs the company at Epic Repellents. This was just the timing. It was right before I noticed the gopher activity over there. He offered to send me 4 more bags because I was out of the gopher repellent. And I did not expect that at all. I don't expect them to continue to send me free product at all. But I do want to thank them again. They've been super great. And I've said this before, they've gone over and beyond to try and help me in my garden with the gopher problem. And so it's nice that they keep in contact. Just can't give them enough kudos. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's really appreciated. And so I applied the Gopher Scram in those areas, and I'll have to be diligent in that area to watch for more activity and to keep reapplying it. So anyway, if you haven't tried the Gopher Scram, you can try that product. It's worked for me. It's chasing the gophers away from the area where I apply it. They're still active in the garden, just in other places. So where I see those other places, I'll just apply it. And thank you so much again to Epic Repellents. So there's always the good, and people are definitely good. I was having the down and outs yesterday, still kind of mulling over the loss of the shade gardens. Not complete loss, but pretty devastating. And I've lost my shade too, because the lower limbs now of those trees are gone, and I really don't have the shade gardens anymore. And that's where I really propagated a lot of my succulents under the trees. After I propagated them, I'd set them under the trees, and they love that dappled light. And so to lose that is tough, so I'm going to have to figure something else out there. I went to work cleaning up, and it was a little depressing. I was having the down and outs about it all, and I went over. Maribel Salinas had invited me over to their coffee and cookies at the nursery, at Iron Pony Nursery. If you haven't seen that video, check out Iron Pony. I did a very short one, a virtual tour, and then I did one where I sat down and talked to her and went around the nursery and did a nursery tour, so you can check that out. And I just told her, I said, you know, it's been tough. I mean, it's so dry, and I don't remember it being so dry and so, like, the plants are just struggling. And she confirmed that her and Ed had been saying the same thing here lately, that it's just been kind of rough keeping things hydrated. And that made me feel better. It made me feel a little confirmed in the way I was thinking that, gosh, is it just me? But so thank you, Maribel. I really appreciate it. It's always great to have other gardeners to talk to. If you're a beginner gardener, I would just recommend that you get out there and connect with other gardeners, whether it's your neighbors that garden or nursery owners. They're great. Those independent nursery owners are fantastic people to talk to and a wealth of information. So I recommend that you get in touch with some of your smaller nurseries that, you know, that have some time to sit down and talk to you about gardening in your area, because they're the ones who are going to know what works, what doesn't, and how things, the climate and everything is doing for the plants there too, and make some recommendations. So that was really lifted my spirits yesterday. And so there's always the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's always good. There's lots of good. Just sometimes we get all wrapped up in our negative thoughts, and we can't let those negative thoughts take over. So I went over and I had my coffee and cookie, and that's always going to brighten your day, right? So I felt a little bit better, but even better is just to talk to Maribel. I've got in there and this morning and cleaned up the aeoniums more and started digging away, putting them on the hillside, and I'm hoping that some of them, if not all, get a chance to relive, and it's a rebirth for them. So I talked about the farm. That's my little farm. It's a very small area with a few raised beds that I grow, but the tomatoes didn't make it. Lettuce, spinach, green onions. I have some blackberries, which have done fine. I've gotten blackberries off of it this year. it, and I can't remember what else I had in there. Nothing made it. Yeah, the cherry tomato did make it, and that was a self-seeder. Dropped some seeds from last year and the year before, and so I've had my cherry tomatoes, so thank you, Jesus. I emptied all of the raised beds and I started new. So I put fresh compost and manure and a mix of that potting soil and with nutrients, and added some biochar and mixed it all up, and I have that now in the raised beds. And I planted, it started to cool off here, the soil is cooler, and so I decided I'm going to plant my lettuce, kale, green onions, spinach, all of that now, and see how they do. I've been faithful in watering them every day so that the seeds germinate, and doing the best that I can there. They haven't come up yet, but I did also do some seeding in trays, and they did come up in the trays, and so yay. So if they don't make it outside, I do have the trays started, the seedlings in there, so that's good. I can transfer them over. So that's good. I'm looking forward to having some crops again. I really miss that. I missed that a lot over the summer, not having anything much growing in there. Maybe that was a good thing too, because, you know, it's been so busy in the garden and trying to keep up. It has been a super huge blessing to have my Hoselink. I have to tell you, I love my Hoselink. Every time I water, I feel like it's such a joy because I don't get those kinks in the hose, and it just retracts. I don't have to worry about, you know, it taking forever just to fix the hose. And so I'm thumbs up on the Hoselink. It's so worth the money if you don't have one and you have that deal with those issues. Hoselink. It's a long-term investment, and it's really paid off. I can't tell you, I don't know what my garden would have looked like, or me, had I had to hand water because the drip irrigation is plugged and not been able to unplug it. The sediment from the well, it's a mess. So there's lots of good happening in the garden. And where would I be without my succulents? I have to tell you, my succulents have given me so much joy when a lot of other things are struggling in the garden. That's why so many propagation videos on succulents. I can always rely on my succulents, and woohoo, it's almost aeonium time of year. And what I mean by that is they're about to wake up and they're supposed to go into their active phases pretty soon. And so that's going to be really, really fun, because aeoniums are so much fun. And I'll show you in the aeonium video that I did with Manny at Navarro's Mixed Nursery. At the very end of the video, he gave me a really beautiful aeonium, and I think it's a pink witch. It's really, really doing well in that empty pot that's not empty anymore. So I'm going to have to repot that here pretty soon, and I want to do that before it goes into its active phase so that it has plenty of room to grow its roots and to do well, because I want to propagate that for sure. I already have taken one little piece. I couldn't help myself. Looking forward to aeonium time of year, and looking forward to having salad crops again, and to not have to buy salad in a bag. Can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that, because it's just ridiculous. And to be able to save on that, because the prices of everything are just outrageous right now. So yeah, we have ups and downs in the gardening world, and you just have to go with it. Get your big girl panties on and get over it, and, you know, recoup and make things. Sorry if the camera's shaking. Larry the lazy is at the base. Hey Larry. You just got to roll with it. You got to get out there and find the positives. And, you know, I'm really blessed that I do have my succulents here in California that I can have fun with when everything else is, well, everything else wasn't failing, but it seems that way when a lot of stuff is struggling. And I'm still waiting to see how my lavender responds. So another thing is the biochar. I did some research. I've been kind of Googling that, and so I did invest in buying There's Larry at the base of the camera shaking again. Come here. So I did invest in some biochar, and I applied that around in different places of the garden with some compost and kind of mixed it in the soil. And so hopefully we'll see results from that over the next few years. We'll see, because, you know, I was talking to Maribel, and the soil condition here where we live is just so poor. There's a lack of nutrients, and trying to condition the soil can be very difficult to do that. That's why I think a lot of people do raised beds here in my area, not so much in the ground. I'm hoping that the biochar will work, and, you know, we'll see. I mean, you know, I'll try it, and I got quite a bit of it, so I'll reapply that in other areas. I only did part of the spiral around part of it, and so I'm going to kind of monitor that over, you know, the next few months and see how it does. But I think it's more long term. I'm still researching it, so, but, you know, I'm willing to try it. And he's a good cat, aren't you? You just don't get gophers. You're supposed to get gophers. That's your job. I hope everybody's garden did well over the summer, and I think that into the fall we're turning a new page, and hopefully the rain comes. And, you know, there's nothing like natural rain, natural water for the plants. They'd nothing like rain. I mean, you can water, you can, you know, make compost tea, you can do whatever, all kinds of fun things with water, but there's nothing like rainwater for plants. You walk outside after it rains, and the plants are just so alive and vital, and it's amazing. One plant in particular has been just put on amazing growth in the garden. I had 3, and they are woolly bush, coastal woolly bush, and they're beautiful plants. I have 2 of them. I had 3 to begin with. One of them, I think, got overwatered. They don't want to be watered. Don't water them. They're happy not being watered, and I don't. So whatever moisture they do get, they're intaking, or I don't know how it works with them. But coastal woolly bush, and I'll put up the botanical name for coastal woolly bush. And here in California, they do great. They do wonderful. They like the poor soil, and they actually do get somewhat, I don't think it's a technical bloom. The ends of the leaves, the very tips of them, will turn orange a certain time of year, and I believe it was around late May, like when I got home from Ireland, and it's really very pretty. I don't think technically it's a flower, though. Could be. I'll have to research that too. That's the thing about gardening, is you're always learning. You're learning about the garden, you're learning about life, and you're about yourself. And so that's why I enjoy gardening. And it's very therapeutic. If any of you have depression and suffered from depression, gardening is a wonderful outlet, and I just really recommend it. I wouldn't give up gardening. I mean, yeah, we go through tough times in gardening, but hey, you go through tough times in life and you just keep persisting on, and that's what we do. I want to thank everybody who's recently subscribed to the channel, and everybody who's been with me watching along the way as I discover about gardening from the very beginning. I want to thank all of you. And if the camera's shaking again, that's Larry. Thank you so much, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you to all the subscribers, both old and new. And I really do appreciate it. And we will see you in an upcoming video soon. Bye-bye.